Hi, I'm Mark Gibbs with the Great Outdoors Nursery in Austin, Texas. And if you're new to town or if you've been here a while and you're feeling like tackling a vegetable garden, fall vegetable gardens are the coolest ones to do around. The selections are great, the maintenance is a little less, the plants are easier to maintain, and your production is still phenomenal. So our winters are pretty mild, and this is a great time to be thinking about, if you want to tackle this, what you'd like to get into. We have these postcards that are free here at the nursery. It's going to give you varieties that you can do for the fall, and it's got a little calendar at the top that's going to tell you when you can start them and what time is the best time to get them in the ground before we have our first freeze. So we can help you walk through the postcard to look for selections, and then think about your space. You do want to have a full sun area. That's going to bring up your production. It's going to help the plants warm up a little bit on those frosty nights, and it's going to help with evaporation when we have those rainy, overcast days, which we're guaranteed to get during that winter cycle. If you can have at least a 4x8, anything is bigger, that's great. And they do well in containers too. We have veggie pods. There are different planting ways you can do containers, and it's a wonderful way, again, to get some production on your own and an easy crops to work with. So we'll help you go through the postcard. We'll help you look at the seed items that I'm about to mention. These are some little seedling trays that we sell, and they have 20 pods in here, and it's got a little greenhouse dome for the top of it. And basically I put some water in the tray yesterday. These pods are only about an 1/8 inch thick, but they will suck in the water and blow up like this. And then when we do our seeds, we're going to tuck our seeds down on the top of the pod here. So we also have refill packets for these. One of the things I recommend doing also when you're picking your seeds and getting ready to get them germinated is always try to remember to put them between some wet paper towels. Some of the packaging will actually say soak them in water for 24 hours if it's a harder seed. So I've got 3 different selections here that we've got between the paper towels. They've been soaking. That softens up the seed coat and it speeds up your germination time. Right now I've got some cabbage, some broccoli, and some cauliflower in here that we're going to start. One of the things I also recommend doing is splitting your packs into thirds. And what you can do is when you put them down into the pods here, you can do them by row, maybe 5 pods of each flavor that you're going to do. And once you've got your first germination up to a second leaf set, then you can get another set of pods, take these out of here and just put them in a regular seedling tray, and then start a second series. The reason I recommend that is when it comes to harvest time, you're going to be able to spread out your harvest time. You won't be harvesting something, it won't be maturing all at one time. You'll have a 10-day to 2-week spell between those groups that started first and started in the middle and started last. So it helps spread out that germination time. It also lets you work out any kinks. If you ran into some issues when you were starting your seeds the first time around, it may help you figure out what you need to tweak. You can also take a little bit of cinnamon powder and sprinkle it on top of the pods. That serves as a little disease resistance, an organic disease resistance from dampening off, which will occur if they've stayed too soggy and they haven't gotten enough sunlight and evaporation, and there's a little fungus that can set in and it'll take them down really fast. So it's just a little preventative to help you get around that corner if you run into it. Another way you can speed up your germination, we do have these little heat mats. This can go underneath the tray. If you're going to be doing them, starting them outside and we're having some cooler nights, this is going to keep that little soil down the pod a little bit warmer. It'll get that root system to push a little faster and get your top side to set some leaf sets a little faster. When you're looking at transplant time, typically we've got our lid on here. If this is in a full sun area, it's hydrating, you're getting some condensation, it's sweating back down in there. That's going to be your first sort of initial water supply need. Once you get your leaf sets that are touching the top of this, you'll need to remove it. And then you're just going to want to keep an eye on these pods. Once you see your pods roots starting to tuck out from the sides of these pods, that may be a second leaf set, it may be a third leaf set. That's telling you it's ready for transplant time. Or if it's not quite filled out and you just want to put it in another tray while you use this one to start another series, that's fine. We sell just the empty trays with the domes as well, and you can just add water to those and let them self-maintain until the pods are pushed out with roots. That's just telling you it's ready for transplant, whether you're going to go into another container or you're going to go into the ground. The biggest thing to remember there is you want to do the proper spacing. The packages will tell you how far it's going to go. So the proper spacing is really important. We don't want that over competition when it comes to water and sunlight. So having them spaced properly, you're going to get a much healthier plant and a higher production, and you're going to have a lot less issue when it comes to disease and insects, because you won't have that overlapping and that bunching up of the plant material. Also, I usually put around 3 seeds in a pod, and sometimes they'll stick to the paper towels, so I'll just pinch that little grouping and put that whole little tuft of paper towel down into the top of the pod. It's just going to biodegrade, and they're still going to germinate, but it's easier than trying to remove them from the paper towel sometimes. I have, in instances, left them a little too long, and by the time I've gotten to the paper towel, they've actually started to put out that first little, they've already cracked and put out that first little cotyledon. So at that point, you're even further ahead than you were when you started. But that soaking is always going to help. And then once you're ready to put them in the ground, just make sure, whether you're in a raised bed or you're in the ground, that your soil evaporates well. We don't want a heavy soil, and we don't want to compact around those plants when we put them in the ground or in a new container. We want that soil to be very fluffy because we want those roots to push. Also, we do have a fruit and flower or a vegetable blend that's got some mycorrhiza in it for a fertilizer. Going in and adding that after you get those guys in the ground, that's going to get those root systems to expand, and again, bring up that production ratio and give you a healthier plant. So if you have any questions or you need any help narrowing down selections, as you can see, I've got a set of packets here. Huge, it's just a huge plethora of choices you can pick for fall seeding. And Brene's will have a lining on it here saying it's an organic seed, or Botanical will have a nice green band at the top here, and that's going to tell you it's organic if that's the preference you want. But there are just selections all over the palette for a fall vegetable garden. And again, you want to be starting them now so they get great time to acclimate and be ready for those first cool spells when they come in. We want them strong enough and dense enough so they can take those first cool spells. And you'll be amazed at how well they do when it does get cold and we do have the freeze or the frost time for an extended period. They're going to be very, very happy, and you're going to be happy when you start harvesting and you see how fun it is and how easy it is to bring home your own vegetables. So if you have any questions, please come in the Garden Center. We'd be glad to help you out. And again, the Great Outdoors Nursery, 2730 South Congress.